I told a man named Gerald to wait one more year. He was 64, healthy, sharp as anyone I ever sat across from. His wife had already started looking at travel brochures. Portugal, New Zealand, a cruise along the Alaskan coast. He had enough money. Not perfect money, but enough. And I, a man with 38 years of experience and a wall full of certifications, told him to wait. Gerald died 11 months later. Massive stroke. He never saw a single day of retirement. Not one morning where he could wake up slowly and have nowhere to be. I have carried that for 7 years, and I've decided I'm done carrying it quietly. Because here is what I know after nearly 4 decades of sitting across from people at the most important financial crossroads of their lives. Waiting for the perfect moment to retire might be the most expensive decision you ever make. Not in dollars, in something you can never get back. So today, I want to share 5 reasons why retiring, even before the numbers feel completely ready, might be the most important thing you ever do. And I want to be honest with you, the way I wish I had been honest with Gerald. The first reason is something nobody in my profession likes to talk about openly. Most people never actually spend the money they spend their whole lives saving. I know how that sounds, but stay with me. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, did a study a few years ago tracking how retirees actually spent their savings. Not how they planned to spend it, how they actually in real life spent it. The results were staggering. 17 to 18 years into retirement, roughly half of all retirees still had 80% or more of the money they started with. 80%. Sitting in accounts. I had a client, I'll call Frank. He retired at 70. Spent his whole working life being careful and disciplined in a way I genuinely admired. He told me once, standing in my office with his hands deep in his pockets, "Robert, I just never want to run out." Frank passed away at 81. His children called me a few weeks later. Frank had lived on about $3,200 a month his entire retirement. He ate at the same diner every Tuesday morning, coffee and the crossword. He never once took the fishing trip to Montana he had talked about for 20 years. He always said, "Next year." Frank left behind $1.4 million. The money outlived him. His dreams didn't get to. So before you decide you cannot afford to retire, ask yourself honestly, are you chasing a number that will still be sitting in an account the day your children have to make phone calls on your behalf? The second reason is about your health. And this one I need you to really sit with. There is a number I wish every single one of my viewers had known. I wish I had known it and shared it loudly. 66.1. That is the average age an American loses their health. Not their life, their health. The stroke, the cancer diagnosis, the heart attack that quietly rewrites everything that comes after it. Most Americans plan to retire at 67. The average age we lose our health is 66.1 years old. That is 13 months. 13 months between when most people plan to finally start living the life they worked for, and when their bodies begin to take that life back from them. I remember a woman named Patricia. She and her husband came to me at 61. They had done everything right. $2 million saved, house paid off, both of them healthy and full of plans. She was ready to retire. Her husband was ready. I ran the numbers and there was a gap. Not a scary gap, just a gap. I told her 3 more years would give her a much stronger cushion. She trusted me. She worked 3 more years. She called me at 64, stage 3 breast cancer. She said quietly, and I still hear her voice when I think about this, "Robert, I just wish I had taken that trip to Portugal." I had nothing to say. Not one number I had ever calculated could answer that. Your health is not a variable in this spreadsheet. It is a deadline, and it does not negotiate with your portfolio. The third reason is about the plan itself, and how most people are chasing the wrong number without even realizing it. I sat with a couple once, both retired teachers, kind and thoughtful people. They had decided they needed $7,200 a month to live comfortably in retirement. That was their current monthly spending, so that became the number they were grinding toward. 2 more years of work, maybe 3. I asked them one question before we went any further. Walk me through a Tuesday in retirement. Just a regular Tuesday. What does it actually look like? They looked at each other, then back at me. The wife smiled and said, "Honestly, I want to garden in the mornings, see the grandkids, maybe travel a little. Nothing extravagant, just real traveling." Her husband leaned back in his chair and said, "I want to build furniture out in the garage and watch baseball without feeling like I should be doing something else." That is not a $7,200 a month life. That is a $4,500 a month life, maybe less. They were working 2 extra years, healthy years, good years, years when their backs still cooperated, chasing a number built for a version of retirement they did not even want. So here is what I started asking every client to do. Before making any final decision, test drive the smaller number. Whatever you think you need in retirement, try living on 20 or 30% less for 90 days. Not forever, just 90 days. You will find out very quickly what you genuinely need and what you only assumed you needed. Almost every time, people discovered the life they actually wanted cost far less than the life they were afraid to leave behind. The 4th reason is one that surprised even me, and it is not about money at all. Divorce. The divorce rate among couples over 50 has doubled since 1990. They have a name for it now, gray divorce, and it is devastating in a way that goes far beyond the emotional cost. When a marriage ends after 50, you do not just lose a partner, you lose roughly half of everything you spent decades building, half the retirement savings, half the home equity, all the careful planning split down the middle by a judge. I have sat with couples who worked hard their entire marriages, stayed responsible, delayed gratification, and arrived at retirement as financial successes and emotional strangers. They had built security together and distance together, both at the same time, without ever noticing it happening. Carol and I went through a stretch in our late 50s where we were barely in the same conversation. She was still running the school. I was still at the office most evenings. We would sit down to dinner and realize we had not actually talked, not really talked, in 4 or 5 days. We were 2 people sharing a mortgage. It took real effort to find each other again. We were lucky. We chose each other again before it was too late. But I have watched it go the other way. Couples who waited until retirement to finally have time for each other, only to find out they had waited too long and there was nothing left to come back to. Retiring earlier and having the honest conversation with your spouse about what you both actually want this next chapter to look like might save far more than your marriage. It might save everything you built together. The 5th reason is the one I want to close with, because it is the simplest. And somehow it is the one people forget most easily. You can always find a way to make more money. You cannot make more time. People are far more resourceful than they give themselves credit for. A retired engineer who consults 2 days a month. A retired teacher who tutors 3 afternoons a week. A retired contractor who helps a neighbor on weekends. Even an extra $800 or $1,000 a month changes the entire picture of what retirement can look like. There are doors back into income. They may not be the same doors. They may not carry the same salary, but they exist. There are no doors back into time. I retired at 68. I should have gone at 66. The money was ready. Carol was ready. I was the one who wasn't. Not because of the numbers, but because I didn't know who I was outside of that office. It took me a full year of retirement to figure that out. A year of long walks and slow mornings and watching my grandson's Tuesday afternoon baseball games. I missed 2 years of those games. 2 years I chose a desk over a bleacher because I told myself the timing wasn't right. I'll never get those Tuesdays back. So here is what I want to leave you with. The question is never simply, can you afford to retire? The real question, the one that never shows up on any projection I ever built, is this: can you afford not to? The money can be figured out, budgets bend, plans change, numbers can be adjusted. But your health has an expiration date that does not care about your account balance. And the people who love you, the ones who need you in the quiet, ordinary ways, they are not going to wait for your numbers to be perfect. Neither should you.